Good evening, namaste. Welcome everybody to today's class on Jesus Christ, His life and His teachings. As always, let us begin the class with a prayer. And as we pray, let us be present fully in this moment and pray from not only our words, but the thoughts in our mind and the feelings in our heart. Let us invoke the presence of the Lord. Heavenly Father, Divine Mother, friend, beloved God, Jesus Christ, Babaji Krishna, Lahiri Mahashai, Swami Shri Yukteswar Ji, beloved Gurudev Paramhansa Yogananda Ji, friend and guide Swami Kriyananda Ji, saints and sages of all religions, humbly we bow at thy feet. O infinite Christ, present in the body of Jesus and in all of us, manifest thyself in the essence of thy glory, in the strength of thy light, and in the power of thy infinite wisdom. We are thy children, Lord. Bring us home. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let us now invoke the presence of the Gurus by singing the hymn to Brahma, followed by a chant. Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahma, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. Brahmanandam Parama Kevalam Jnanamurtam Dvandvatitam Gagana Sadrisham Tattvamasyaadilaksham Ekam Nityam Vimalam Achalam Sarvadhi Sakshi Bhutam Bhavatitam Triguna-rahitam Sadgurum Tvam Namami. Tvameva Mata cha Pita Tvameva, Tvameva Bandhu cha Sakha Tvameva, Tvameva Vidya Dravidam Tvameva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva, Tvameva Sarvam Mama Come out of the darkness, Mother, lead me in thy light, lead me in thy light. Come out of the darkness, Mother, lead me in thy light, lead me in thy light. Come out of the darkness, Mother, lead me in thy light. Come out of the darkness, Mother, lead me in thy light, lead me in thy light. Come out of the darkness, Mother, lead me in thy light, lead me in thy light. Come out of the darkness, Mother, lead me in thy Come out of the darkness, Father, make me in thy light, make me in thy light. Come out of the darkness, Father, make me in thy light. Come out of the darkness, Father, make me in thy light, make me in thy light. Bathe me in thy light, bathe me in thy light. Let's try to feel the presence of Mother Mary and baby Jesus. Let's try to visualize them at the spiritual eye. Feel light and blessings coming out from both Mother Mary and baby Jesus. Visualize their smiles, the divine light in their eyes, and the eternal peace that surrounds them. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Let us now, dear friends, come to the study of one of the affirmations and a few thoughts shared by Swami Kriyananda on the topic of work. Now, all of us work every day, whether it's inside the house or outside into the world. But the moment we wake up in the morning, we have to do some work. So what is the attitude with which we should work? And what should be in our heart when we work? And how do we use this instrument, the body, the hands, and the mind that we employ when we do our God-given duties? So this is what Swamiji says. He says, work should be done with a creative attitude, never for the sake of selfish gain, but for the chance it gives us to help create a better world. Those who work with the thought of pay live in the future. They lose the habit of living here and now, where alone true happiness can be found. Work should always be done as well as possible, not out of self-conceit, but in gratitude for the free gift of life, of sunshine, of water, of air, and in gratitude simply for our God-given power to be useful to our fellow man. Let us do the following affirmation multiple times. I will do my work thinking of thee. Lord, I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee. Lord, I offer to thee the very best that is in me. I will do my work thinking of thee. Lord, I offer to thee the very best that is in me. Let us mentally follow this prayer. Beloved Lord, who so wonderfully created the high snowy mountains, the bounding rivers, the colorful fragrant flowers, the vast heaving oceans, and the distant glittering stars, manifest through me thy perfect joy as I go about doing my work each day. Om, peace. Amen. Hey friends, so now we come to the story section of our class, and I recently discovered another story that was given by Paramhansa Yogananda in his partly humorous and partly grave language, and he tends to grab our attention almost immediately. And of course, it ends with a moral, a lesson that we need to learn and fill in our lives with. Okay, so the name of the story is The Bandit and the Bull. Once upon a time, in a cave hidden in the dark breast of the hills of northern India, there lived a vicious bandit named Rakusha and his band. This rapacious robber lived by pillage, murder, and plunder. It is said that the tiger, even though it may be gorged to the throat with meat, will go on killing animals just for the thrill of killing if it gets the taste of blood. Similarly, the tiger bandit Rakusha excelled in the art of cruelty. Flouting and ridiculing every spiritual law, he was truly an incarnation of wickedness. The following incident is just a sample of his supreme perversity. Rakusha had started with his band to plunder a poor little village at the outskirts of a forest. As he passed through the woods, he carried on an orgy of killing songbirds just for the thrill of it. When he arrived at the end of the forest, he perceived a mile-long dirt road leading into the village. This road was lined with tall trees. One of the bandit gang remarked that the trees must afford travelers welcome shade from the sultry heat of the oriental sun. "Well," said the bandit leader, "all of you get busy and circle those trees, cutting their barks so that they will die. No longer shall they be liberal with their shade to the villagers." His orders were obeyed. As the band of robbers were about to enter the village, they found that they had to walk over some loose bricks laid down as stepping stones in a muddy puddle of water. After they had crossed the puddle, the bandit king thought, "Let me remove these bricks, lest anyone else have the comfort of walking over them," and thus miss the unpleasant contact with the mud. However, on second thought, he remembered that he himself would have to cross the puddle again on his way back to his den beyond the forest. So he refrained from removing the bricks. Once the bandit had entered the village, some holy men happened to be leaving the village, and they were delighted to walk on the bricks in the mud puddle, thus avoiding soiling their sandals and clothes. The bandits plundered the village, slaughtering men, women, and children, and started on the return journey to their cave. Again, the bandit king had to walk on the bricks over the mud puddle. But after he and his ruffians were through using the bricks, the leader pushed them with his long spear into the deepest hole of the puddle, lest anyone else could use them. Shortly after this, Rakusha was treacherously killed by one of his subordinates who wanted to rule the robber camp. It is said in the Hindu scriptures that every man has two angels, each with a recording book. One resides invisibly at his left shoulder and other on his right. The angel on the left writes in his book all of man's misdeeds, and the angel on the right records all his virtuous actions. When Rakusha's soul was being escorted to a particularly dark and hideous part of Hades, the leader in charge of heaven and Hades, to make sure that no injustice was done, asked the robbers the angels to look at their records and say what they found. The angel on the left said, "Honored sir, the book of sin is so full of this man's wicked deeds that I had to write all around the margins of all the pages." The angel on the right said, "All the pages of my book are blank. I cannot find a single record of a good action performed by this cruel bandit." The angel on the right was asked to re-examine his book thoroughly. Finally, he exclaimed, "Ah, I find on the last page a single indirect virtuous action. Rakusha once left a few bricks in a puddle of mud so that he might recross over them, although he hated to think that anyone else might benefit from the use of them too. However, he has a reward coming to him because a few holy men did happen to use those bricks to cross the puddle. Then the angel in charge of heaven and Hades said to the bandit soul, okay, so for this deed, you have 2 hours of complete freedom in heaven or Hades. Pray let me know your last wish. The bandit thought it over and replied, get me a flying bull from Hades with long, sharp, pointed horns. A ferocious flying bull arrived immediately. The bandit got on the animal's back, and upon being assured that it would do just as he commanded, he said, Mr. Bull, charge all the keepers of Hades. Hades had never been in such an uproar. Hearing the confusion, the angel in charge of both heaven and Hades, together with his flying assistants, hastened to the scene to try to save their colleagues in Hades. The bandit soul, in great glee, at once ordered the bull to drive his long horns into the body of the angel leader. Seeing his doom approaching, the angel, without his assistants, began to race through space to find shelter behind heaven's safe gates, fiercely pursued by the bandit. The keepers in Hades sent telepathic broadcasts to heaven about this terrible outrage. Archangels flocked to the rescue, but according to the decree, none could withstand the attack of the flying bull under the command of the wicked bandit. The bull entered the pearly gates, hot on the heels of fleeting angels. Then heaven was now in uproar. At last, just as Rakusha on the flying bull reached the golden throne of his majesty, the Lord, the bandit's 2 hours of freedom were up. The bull suddenly stopped his unbridled goring. The angels folded their wings and rested. But the keeper of heaven and Hades approached the now powerless bandit and shouted, so, even in this other world, you had to follow your wicked way? We will give you and your flying bull overtime work in the worst part of Hades. Heaven is too good for you. But the Heavenly Father exclaimed, no, you will not throw the wicked bandit and his bull back into Hades. They are already free, for they have reached heaven. It doesn't matter how one gets here, even if it is by only a very little goodness. Once a soul reaches heaven, it shall never go to Hades again. And so now Master tells us what this story means. And so, dear friend, by its audacity, the story is intended to help you to realize the power of goodness. Of course, Rakusha will not enjoy his heavenly reprieve for long. His karma will draw him back to earth to work out the painful results of his evil deeds. But the story does illustrate that no matter what wrong you may have done in the past, if you sin no more and cultivate even a little goodness, that good may be the portal to the heaven of eternal joy and freedom. Never call yourself a sinner, for not even the wrong living of many lives can outweigh the eternity of good within your soul. Remember, even if your whole life is clouded with dark activities, keep the light of at least a little good activity burning, so that in time you may increase that light and drive away all darkness. That good will be your airship to carry you safely across the gulf of wrong actions. The idea is, do not keep brooding over the distance between you and truth, but keep walking toward it by doing some good every day, and you will finally reach your goal. Wonderful story as always by Master. And in some of his teachings, lessons I've read, that the effects of bad karma are just like the mathematics, the formula has to work. So the effects of bad karma can come and will come according to our prarabdha. But there are ways to mitigate the effect of that bad karma. And one of the most important ways is to do opposite good actions. Means we don't even remember what bad actions we have done or the attitudes and intentions that led us to those bad actions. But one positive way of balancing the scales is to do good now in this life, when we have the opportunity and we are on the spiritual path and we are surrounded by people all around you. Look all around. Everybody needs your love. Everybody needs your light. Everybody needs the sweet words that you can give them of solace, of friendship, because you are channels of the Master. So doing good actions is one of the very important and easy ways to counteract the prarabdha of bad karma. And of course, the other is to realize that God is the doer, that not only today, but all the actions that you were done in the past, whether they were good or bad, eventually the source of all of that was God. So that doesn't mean that we discard the responsibility of doing bad, but we realize that both good and bad, both light and shadow, are parts of the play of the Lord. And from the past as well as the present, we consciously give the doership of all our actions to God. And of course, the third way is of Raja Yoga, when we dissolve by you doing the practice of meditative techniques like Kriya, we dissolve the vrittis that have been deposited in our subconscious mind and along our astral spine. When we consciously take the energy around our astral spine and in through the Sushumna, then we are automatically just dissolving all those vrittis and all the things that led to any past karma. So we dissolve that. So multifaceted is the way in which any bad karma, the results of which we are bearing in some way or the other now, can be mitigated, it can be cancelled out. And besides, having faith and love in God is, I think, the easiest way. When you surrender everything to God and you say, okay, God, I don't remember what I did in the past, but I am your child and I rightfully demand my freedom. And I depend completely upon you. And with the help of the Guru, when we are able to do, perform such a surrender to the Lord, then automatically, whether good times come or bad times come, we are hardly affected by them. We are always, steadfast in the calmness that God is protecting us always. He is with us and He is our best friend, and no harm can come to us. So by doing such attitudes, then nothing in this world can affect us. Though, of course, sometimes small rocks come, sometimes big boulders come, but let them come, just like the river keep flowing, sometimes across, over the stone, sometimes through the side of the stone, keep flowing towards God and towards truth, no matter what happens. And then maintain that even-mindedness and know that God is always with you. Okay. So with that, we come to the study of the Bible, and we were at a very interesting point in the story where Jesus, when he was traveling from the district of Judea to Galilee, he takes a diversion, especially to the place called Samaria. He sends off his disciples to get some food to the town, and he himself goes to the hill of Jacob where there is a well, and there he sits there, and a woman comes to pull out water from the well. And he asks to ask some water. He says, I'm thirsty. Will you give me some water? And then she says, I'm a Samaritan. You are a Jew. Will you have water from me? Because Samaritans are not considered very high class. So then Jesus tells her about the living water. He says, the water that I can give you will quench the thirst of lifetimes. And this water that you pull out from the well will only quench your thirst for some time, and then you will feel thirsty again. And then the Samaritan woman gets curious, and he asks Jesus that can he give her the eternal living water that he's talking about. And to that, Jesus asks the Samaritan woman to bring her husband. And to that, the lady says that the man with whom I'm living right now is not my husband. I have no husband right now. And Jesus says, yes, I know that is true. You've had 5 husbands in the past, but the man you're living with now is not your legally wedded spouse. And I'm happy that you have spoken the truth, because now I can help you with this living water. And this conversation goes on, and Master explains what is the meaning of that living water. How can our desires of lifetimes, that thirst, how that can be quenched by communion with Christ consciousness. and by surrendering to the Lord. And the conversation continues. So again, they are still standing at the well, and the woman of Samaria says again. Okay, so I'll read the gospel and then we'll know the meaning. Gospel of John, chapter 4, verses 20 to 24. Our fathers worshipped in this mountain, and ye say that Jerusalem is the place where men ought to worship? Jesus saith unto her, Woman, believe me, the hour cometh, when ye shall neither in this mountain nor yet in Jerusalem worship the Father. Ye worship ye to know not what. We know what we worship, for salvation is of the Jews. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and in truth. So this is a very, very interesting conversation, especially for Hindus, because we have so many pilgrimage sites, and it's a good thing to go to a pilgrimage, because the outer pilgrimage helps you to go on an inner pilgrimage. So the question that the woman of Samaria asks here is that our ancestors said that this hill, which was the hill, it was supposed to be, I think, yes, the hill of Gerizim. Now that hill was the place where God asked Abraham to sacrifice his son Isaac. And from then on, a temple had been built in that area, and that hill was supposed to be holy. And the descendants of that line would pray on that hill. And also Jacob and Joseph had lived in that area. And so the woman says that you Jews say that you should pray in Jerusalem, and my ancestors say that we should pray on this mountain. Then who is right? What should we do? So then Jesus tells her, and we will understand this, that time will come where everybody will understand that you must worship God in spirit and in truth, because God is spirit. And spirit is everywhere, and truth is everywhere. So let's now understand what Master says about this. Having recognized Jesus as a prophet of God, the woman sought after him spiritual guidance. And she asked, which is the right place to worship, Jerusalem or the mountain nearby, which was sacred to my forefathers? In reply, Jesus set aside both the mountain and Jerusalem and spoke of self-realization, the inner Jerusalem, where true devotees of God, having ascended the sacred mountain of meditation, worship him in the temple of actual spirit-to-soul communion. So, what Master is saying here, the true temple is this body itself, and going inside rather than outside helps us to actually reach God communion. So when we go to a pilgrimage, we basically take the body to that spot, which is an external spot. Now, if we go to the pilgrimage, and there also we are busy doing shopping in various areas, every temple area and church has shops around it, and we get engrossed in that, that splendor or that scattered energy, then the use of pilgrimage is anyway lost. But if we do the pilgrimage, always remembering that it is the inner awakening that I am seeking by going to this place outwardly. So my inner connect with God has to be there as I visit those outer pilgrimage sites. And even as I visit those outer pilgrimage sites, my prayer should be, God, manifest thyself in me, that I may realize that wherever I may go, I may know that you are with me. So going to a pilgrimage does not mean that I see the God or see Jesus or Mother Mary idol or Lord Shiva idol, and I just pray for those few minutes, and when I come back, God has left me. It should not mean that. God should be ever by our side, and therefore that inner pilgrimage, going within in that meditative state, is important. So it is very good to go to pilgrimages with always the inner awareness that God is everywhere, including within myself, and I'm going to these places to offer my love and devotion and surrender, and to ask for more inner communion. Rather than just, as people pray, going to pilgrimage, okay, I want some more money, I want to be healed in my health, I want success, I want to become this, and if I open up this company, then I'm going to give one diamond mala here, and I will put some gold coins in the pot, and so on. So these are at the level of worldly people. It is still good to pray in some way, but for a seeker of truth, a higher reality has to come into the picture, and he has to come to that point. As we say, thou art that reality. What is our goal? Our goal is to know that we are part of that reality, and that should be the aim of our prayer, of our pilgrimage. Jesus declared that the mass of religious believers take part in ceremonies or rituals, but never know the object of their worship. It is those who have God consciousness, who commune with God, that can truly speak of worshipping God. If a person is deeply sincere and devout, no matter what words he uses to address God or what concept of divine he informs those words with, God will answer. So know that the sincerity of your own heart, whether it is put in words or it's just in thoughts or just as love, it will be answered by God wherever you are on this planet, or not, even if not on this planet, because the whole universe is a living phenomenon and God is present everywhere. So it has to come from your own heart. But most people do not worship with the conviction born of experience that God is real and that He is listening to their prayers, that He is just behind their thought, just behind their words of their prayers, just behind the love with which they love Him. If they would pray with the heart and mind indivisibly concentrated on that indwelling presence, they would know the one whom they are worshipping. The reason that God remains unknown to millions who worship Him in temples and churches and in holy cities and places of pilgrimage is that the physical instruments of knowledge can apprehend only the products of the Creator, means the created material universe. The divinity itself is perceived only by the faculty of intuition, which is the soul's God-knowing power. And that power can be cultivated only by meditation and deep prayer. No worldly activity or nothing that you do with your senses can help to cultivate the power of the sixth sense, that is intuition. For that, you have no choice but to go within yourself, to calm the thoughts of the mind and the emotions of the heart. And only then can you perceive the real truth that God is everywhere and you are part of that truth. The tabernacle of deep meditation, that is the temple of intuition, is where the first feeling of God is present. So we have many of the devotees are present here, and I will like to know from you. You can share your thoughts. How is the first time in this life, or let's not say the first time, how did you feel the presence of God in your life? Was it something in your heart? Was something in your thought? Was something in the outer situation that you felt? Or how do you know? Are you convinced in yourself that God is real for you? And if yes, if you want to share, how was it slowly over a period of years, or was it just that one incident that made sure you that definitely God exists, He's protecting me, He's with me all the time? So anybody who wants to share such an incident, I would like to hear that as well. I think everybody would like to hear others' experiences. It could be any trivial thing when you realize that, oh yes, I know God is watching me and I know He's protecting me and He loves me. Okay, looks like, okay, yes, Bhuma.
Jai Guru. Yeah, as you said, Doctor, it may sound trivial because this morning I was telling Sri Ram, that I want to buy banana. Then he offered, no, when I come back through the metro on the way home, the vendor will be there in front of Hanumanji Mandir. I told, no, it is Thursday. So you will go to Babaji Mandir. He will not be here. Babaji is at Sai Baba Mandir. He goes. You will not believe. This afternoon, just I went and sat in the sun for just 10-15 minutes. What I saw, the same person pulling the cart on the road. I stopped him and bought the banana and took a photograph and sent to Sriram. No, I have got it. When he came home this evening, I told, see, even a small line, as Master always says, you tell everything to me, even a small thing, I'm ready to fulfill. I don't know how to express this. I told him the same thing. It's very trivial, as you said, but I'm very happy. Seriously, if you had come in the evening, you would not have got the bananas, but it had happened.
Oh, yes. So it sounds trivial, but the truth is that somebody is hearing you. Somebody is hearing your thoughts. You haven't even spoken sometimes. And your thoughts are heard and your little desires are fulfilled. And as Babaji said in the autobiography, so the spiritual realm does not exclude the material realm completely. So when you rise spiritually, even your material desires, the littlest of ones, are also fulfilled, and you know that somebody is listening to you and somebody is your dearest friend and will take care of you. Anybody else wants to share?
Thank you, Jai Guru.
Okay, so I think let's move on with the class because everybody is kind of either they're too inwards or they're busy with other things as well and do not want to comment in this point in time. So we'll move, but we all know what is being said here. Yes, Rosita, want to say something?
Actually, I just want to tell you that yesterday I was going to work and I was on the nick of time. I thought I'm just going to be late and it just crossed my mind that I'm going to be late and I'll have to go and get a leave. I mean, a late remark, on my register. So I just said, Master, I have to be on time. That's it. I have to just be on time. Whichever train comes, I have to get into it, whatever time, but I have to be on nick of time. You have to help me. I didn't take any tension. I just waited for the train to go. One train went off because it was too crowded and I got into the train. You won't believe I have to sign at 9 o'clock and I signed at 5 to 9. So, so I just told him, I said, see, I told you, no, and you listen to me. Now you be with me the whole day now.
Wow, excellent, excellent, Rosita. And this does happen. And it happens in miraculous ways. We have a friend at our West Delhi center. She's not present in the class today, but she shared once with me. She's a teacher in a school. And there's a particular time that she has to leave the house so that, she reaches on time. So on a particular day, some extra time was left. So she thought, okay, let me just meditate for 5 minutes and then I'm going to leave. So she sat for meditation, but lo, the time passed in meditation. And when she opened her eyes of meditation, it was just the nick of time. And in less than 10 minutes, she had to reach school, which was 30 minutes away. Okay. And then she said, the cab had come. I sat in the cab. I closed my eyes and I just prayed deeply. And I don't know how. And in the middle, she said, I just opened my eyes for a moment and I looked back through the cab window and it felt that the car was kind of flying and it was so happening. It was moving so fast that it could, it defied the normal speeds that happened. And she said that I reached school on time. So these are things that you on just a material level, if you just follow the physical science, you may say, no, we can defy, no, it's not possible. But when it comes to the experience of people, then definitely you know that it's true. And definitely you understand the dreamlike quality of this world. In fact, there's a story that was shared by Mary Kratzman, who's the head of Ananda Healing Ministry in the US. And she said, I was driving on the main road and probably I was too exhausted or tired, and I somehow found myself driving on the wrong side of the road. And of course, the traffic was just coming head on. And when I realized, it was just a nick of time that there was something that I could be done. But since there was no way to just get into the right lane, all I did was I just prayed to Master intensely. And she said, in a fraction of a second, after some time, when I realized, I was driving on the right side of the road. So these are things, again, this world is a dream. It's a thought of God. And the master, who is a self-realized master, who is in sync with the universe and the God who has created the universe, has the power to change that dream. So if we are in tune with such a master who is in tune, is one with God, then, and he is specially come to help us to take out of the mud pool, then for sure he's going to help us. And there are so many stories of miracles of master that Swamiji has written in his book, The New Path. The second half of that book is just full of miracles that happened in front of Swamiji, or some that he heard after he joined the ashram. So don't think that these things cannot happen to you. It has happened to many people. To most of us have experienced master in some way or the other, whether it was subtle or it was gross or a physical manifestation. But we know, we are here because we know that master is with us. We are convinced that God does love us. And we just want to know how more we can get close to him. How can we love him more so that eventually we are just one with him. So beautiful story, Rosita. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, but I'm not going to test him tomorrow. I'll leave early tomorrow. And
Yes. So definitely, God says, please don't challenge me. Please don't take advantage of me. So yes, we do. As children, we do our best, but God knows what is our best, and then he does come to help him. Yeah, good pointer. Okay. So Master continues to say, he says, the Most High dwelleth not in temples made with hands, as saith the prophet. Heaven is my throne, and earth is my footstool. What house will ye build me, saith the Lord, or what is the place of my rest? Hath not my hand made all these things? When Jesus said that salvation is for the Jews, so now let's remember the word in the gospel when he tells to the woman that salvation is for the Jews. So when he says this, he does not mean that only the community or the caste of Jews, but he means by a Jew, he means all those souls who have devoted their lives to God and who are seeking the truth and have evolved to some point. So for example, in the Indian caste system, we say that the Brahmin is supposed to be the most evolved because a Brahmin is a knower of Brahman. So it's kind of saying, or kind of using the word Pandits, says all those who have following the Yama and Niyamas have lived a moral and ethical life, who are seeking the truth, who are practicing the spiritual precepts, all those are going to get salvation through the prayer to spirit and by living in truth. As absolute spirit is reflected as God's guiding intelligence. Okay, so before we go into this words, the jargon of words, it's important to understand what do we mean when we say God is spirit. So we must understand again the concept of being a combination. A human being is a combination of the material body as well as the consciousness that flows through the material body, through the mind and the breath. So it's a combination. When we say that, when we refer to the word I, we usually say, okay, this body. But actually, I also includes the abstract qualities of love, of joy, of wisdom, of power, of calmness and peace. So tell me, do you have these qualities in you? Yes. Do these qualities have any fixed boundaries? No. Can you measure these qualities? No. So these are abstract qualities which is embedded in the consciousness. So if you are a mixture of the material fixed body, the prana that flows through it, the mind that works on it, and these abstract qualities which are part of Chaitanya or consciousness. So we are both. Now God, the creator, is all of these. So he has created thought, he has created energy, he has created the material body, but he himself is pure consciousness. And he lives through all these bodies to get an experience. So to know God, of course, we start with the form of God, like the form of Jesus, or the form of Mother Mary, or the form of Divine Mother or Vishnu. But eventually we must know who is Vishnu, who is Christ. It is that abstract consciousness which has no boundary, which has no form, which has no definition, which has no specific color, which has no specific movement characteristic to it. It is not an object that we can see through the eyes. It's abstract. Can you see love? Can you see joy? No, but you can experience it. So similarly, God is pure consciousness embedded with all those divine qualities, and then through his power, he creates this manifested universe. So the manifested universe as we see it is the creation of that consciousness. And that consciousness is what is called spirit. And that spirit is formless. So I hope we do understand as to where we are going. And as it is said that the direction of devotion or bhakti has to be from the form to the formless. So we are talking of a formless spirit, which is all pervading, which is all powerful, and because of which this material manifestation has occurred. And to understand that absolute spirit, we go into ourselves. Why? Because our bodies and minds are those pots of water in which the moon can be reflected. So God, the infinite consciousness, can be experienced by us limited human beings because he is reflected in our bodies as the ability to move and do various things. He is reflected in our mind as the ability to think and feel. So that abstraction becomes finitude when it is manifested through our body and mind. But eventually we have to know that when creation is not, even then spirit is. The formless God exists. But when creation happens, then of course he uses his own power, divides himself into God the Father, God the Son, and the Holy Spirit. And then the drama of creation begins. And then at the end of the day of Brahma, as Master said, the entire creation is drawn back into that same formless spirit. So if we have this ideation, this thought clearly in our mind, then we do not get confused when somebody says God is Chaitanya, God is only spirit. We have to be very clear with it because we too are made of that spirit. It's just that we have layers of our mind, our prana and body over it, but we too are that spirit. And all that yoga is doing for us, all practices, is realizing, making us realize that yes, we are spirit also. We just appear to be bodies, but we are not. Okay. God as spirit, Master says, is neither masculine or feminine. Spirit is above any human correlation. Similarly, the soul is neither male nor female, though karmic inclinations cause it to incarnate either with the body of a man or a woman. So we live in this limitation that, oh, I'm a woman or I'm a man. And because I'm a man, then these are my set of duties and the others do not belong to me. And woman will also say, oh, I'm a woman, so I have these kind of privileges and these set of duties are mine. The rest I'm not going to do. It's not my problem, and so on. So this is all false. Master said you will gain realization once you can balance your masculine and feminine aspects. Every female body has both the power of feeling and as well as of mental aptitude and thought process. Every male also has a heart and has emotions, and we need to balance both. We have to have reason, we have to have feeling, we have to have both. Only then we will be able to awaken that sixth sense which uses both. It will use both your common sense as well as your power of perception to know what is happening. Otherwise, you can either get engrossed in only mental evaluations and scientific temperaments. On the other hand, you can only get very emotional and keep crying and get, So you have to balance both. Very, very important. And the soul, as spirit, you are neither male nor female. And definitely, if you see, this thought that is thought provoking. If you see all around and you find that why in this age, why same-sex marriages are happening and they are becoming legal as well, and why people also get their sex changed, is because they're uncomfortable in a so a person born in a male body is uncomfortable in a male body, wants a female body. Why? Because in the past they've had lived in female bodies, because the same feeling they've had for many lifetimes, and in this lifetime they feel more like a male but they have a female body, is because they've had other bodies in the past. And because of those experiences in those lifetimes, all the vrittis are stored in their astral spine. And therefore, they have those kind of feelings which they cannot themselves understand, the world cannot understand, unless you accept the law of reincarnation. Till then, all of this is, you have extreme difficulty to understand all these verities that happen in this world. And not just male and female, but why somebody is born poor, why somebody is born so rich, why somebody is intellectual, why somebody is dumb, why is someone very healthy, why is other not healthy. All these differences you can understand only by the law of reincarnation. And all souls who are in male bodies think that they are always going to have male bodies. It may change. All females who are in female bodies think they are going to have female bodies. That may change. So don't be attached to the body or even its gender. So do whatever you have to do in the best. You have to forget the body eventually, whatever it is. Okay. So just on a daily practical basis, just try to be more neutral and not gender biased that, oh, I'm a woman, I must not do this and I must not do that. And I'm a man, I must do this, I mustn't do that. Don't get too much into that. Just do the right thing, not thinking too much of the body. God as spirit, the absolute beyond form, qualities, manifestations, cannot be perceived but only experienced by the supreme realization of spirit and soul union. This ecstasy, a supernal bliss that no human tongue can tell or rational thought conceive, is described simply by the rishis of India when they say, "He who knows, knows, not else knows." So we do use our intellects to understand the scriptures. But as you keep using that intellect and as you keep doing your kriyas, a sudden shift comes in the consciousness. It's a sudden turning of the key where your intuition awakens. And we do not know when that will happen. It happens totally by the grace of God, where suddenly your deep intellectual study and your deep meditative practice turns on the key of intuition and you suddenly realize, oh yes, what the scriptures were saying is definitely true. And then that comes, then this idiom becomes correct. He who knows, knows, and not else knows. So once you know in your heart that you are consciousness beyond the body and mind, then none of the study outside and none of the persons who are outside you can tell you that it is not true. And you are so convinced, and because the truth is embossed in your soul and you know. But the difficulty is that it's tough to explain to others. Because when you are in that absolute silence and you know the continuity of spirit in you and the universe, it cannot be put into words. And it can only be experienced. So it is, just look at the beauty of the teachings of Paramhansa Yogananda, that he has tried to put into words what cannot be put into words. And he has come very close to explaining the various stages that devotees go through. To bring this actual experience down on paper is a very tough thing. And as most of you will realize that when you have a deep experience of peace, you cannot talk about it. You cannot write it down. When you love God and tears flow down your eyes, you cannot talk about it. You cannot write about it, but you just love. So that's how, it is experienced. God, being in truth, the unmanifested absolute, wants all his true devotees to know that they are emanations of spirit, and as such to reunite their immortal, pure bliss essence. So he wants us to be back. Just like we parents, simple human beings, as parents, we want our children, we want them to go out and play into the world. We want them to go out and work in the world, to do hard work, sincere work, help others. But end of the day, the parent wants the child to come back home. And the parent is throughout the time is worried about the safety, the security, the righteousness of the child. So similarly, we are children of God. He is absolutely, in charge of our lives. And by doing the right thing, we are just helping him to be, at peace, so that he is happy to see that, we are doing the right thing. Just as parents, when we see that our children are behaving correctly, they are doing the right thing, they are helping others, they are praying, they have the right attitudes, how happy a parent feels to see a child like that. So similarly, we should be such children, where Heavenly Father and mothers say that I'm proud of this child, just like the father said for Jesus. When Jesus was getting baptized by John the Baptist, he heard this voice from the heavens which said, he is my son, in him I am well pleased. Wouldn't you like it if God were to say it for you? But it takes a lot of tapasya for you to be able to understand that he does love you so much, that you are his beloved child. And just do your best. That's all we can do. Okay. All devotees who worship God as the manifested intelligence of creation, the guiding power within the laws, are gradually taught by the soul's awakening intuition. So we know when we were not on the spiritual path, we were looking only outwardly. So when we were looking outwardly, God and the Guru sent us some friends, some book to, some thoughts into our mind. And then slowly, they turned us towards the path of Kriya Yoga. They gave us the technique of Kriya Yoga. And then slowly our intuition started to awaken. And then we know now that scientifically how the intuition can awaken and how we can experience God. So who did all of this? God did all of this. It is God as father and mother who awakens all his sleeping children one by one at their pace of understanding. But then it helps the parent when the child also puts in some effort. So we have to put in our effort to love him and to do the right thing. Okay. So I'll continue with the gospel. We'll just read what the conversation of the woman of Samaria is still continuing with Jesus. And we'll read the gospel and we'll understand it the next time. The woman saith unto him, I know that Messiah cometh, which is called Christ. When he is come, he will tell us all things. Jesus saith unto her, I that speak unto thee am he. And upon this came his disciples and marveled that he talked with the woman. Yet no man said, What seekest thou? Or why talkest thou with her? The woman then left her water pot and went her way into the city and saith unto men, Come, see a man which told me all things I ever did. Is not this the Christ? Then they went out of the city and came unto him. Okay. So remember seeing the movie called Jesus of Nazareth and other movies on Christ. And this scene has been depicted very beautifully, that once the female understands, then Jesus says directly to her that the Messiah that you're talking of, the Christ that you're speaking of, is me. And she knows by now because he has told her entire life. And she has felt that divine energy coming from him. And she just knows that he is the Messiah. And dramatically, the movies show that how she just puts the veil of the bucket there near the well. And she runs into the village, so happy in her heart that the Messiah has come. And she shouts out to everybody that the Messiah has come and he knows all that I have done in my life. And with that energy and enthusiasm, when she goes into the village and tells everybody, everybody is interested and curious. And they then start to follow and they move towards Jesus. And this we are going to study in the next class. So I think with that thought, we can just end our class today by sharing the love of Christ, his blessings, his power, his calmness, and his light with everybody. Divine Mother, beloved Lord Jesus, thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Divine Mother, beloved Christ, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.